Hi everyone, my name's Nikki. Welcome back to my Flosstube channel. Today is the 29th of January 2021. The month is flying by. First of all, I want to say a really big thank you to everybody who commented or liked my first video. It's been really exciting seeing all of the comments come in. I've also had some messages via Instagram telling me how much you've all enjoyed my Flosstube video, which is really great, and it's exactly what I hoped for in doing a Flosstube video, just to connect with everybody. I hope you've all been well. Here in Australia, everything's cruising along pretty well regarding COVID. I believe there's been no cases across the whole country for a number of days now, which is just something that we're very grateful for. The way that this particular virus has been managed in our country has been pretty terrific, and we feel very fortunate. I think I speak for most people in our country that we're very fortunate that it's going as well as it is. I also wanted to follow up on something that I started to yabber on about on my first video, and that was who are my favourite Flosstubers. When I reluctantly watched my own video, it's pretty horrible watching yourself and listening to your own voice. Oh, sounds horrible, but anyway. My favourite Flosstubers, I only mentioned one, and that was Nicole's Needlework. And of course she's my favourite, all-time favourite, and she released a new video this morning which I've already watched, and it's fabulous. But my other favourite Flosstubers are, of course, everybody's favourite, Brenda and Laura. Those ladies are fabulous, and Laura, I love all of the starts, all of the consultations she has with Brenda. Such a funny lady. I just laugh and enjoy those videos a lot, and of course those projects that they work on, both of them are beautiful, and right up my alley. Carol Sockbox Stitch is another one that I really admire. Who wouldn't love to live in a home that had samplers on every inch of their wall? I would certainly love it. Country Stitches. Not only do I love the projects that Deb and Liz work on, but I just love watching their friendship and the time that they spend together. They really are such good friends. I think they probably consider themselves family to each other, and it's just a real joy to watch, and I really do enjoy watching Deb and Liz. And finally for today, my other favourite is Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch. And again, the projects Liz works on are great, and I love the quilting as well. As I said last week, last video, I've made a lot of quilts, and Liz makes a lot of quilts as well. But I also find myself laughing along with Liz. She has great videos, and I love when she laughs at herself and her mum and everybody. I just find it really amusing and just fun, a lot of fun. So what do I have up my sleeve today? I've got quite a few things to share, some old things and some newer things. The first thing I thought I might show you is something that also came out of the stinky box. There were a couple of really smelly, musty things, but I've dug through that box a bit more and I found a few more treasures. Or maybe not treasures, but you know, things that I've completed over the years. One is, this is a really bit of an ordinary looking copy of or picture of the chart. This is called The King's Pleasure, and it's by Papillon Creations, and I stitched this one a few years ago, and this was one of the first things that I stitched in my search for reproduction samplers. I couldn't find very much at all. This is as close as I could get at that time. So I stitched this one using a linen that you would maybe was an old feed bag, cattle feed bag, chicken feed, something. It's a horrible linen. It's really, it's a really low count. I don't know what it is. It's coarse, it's yuck, but you know, it doesn't look too bad. So this is what I stitched. I stitched it in DMC, and this one is, it uses 3 colours. And I understand from reading the chart that this design is based on the old marquetry furniture of the 17th and 18th century in Europe, probably the United Kingdom as well, probably France, all through Europe, I'd say. That style was popular at that time. So it's based on that. So it was quite pretty. A pity I did it on such horrid linen, but you know, it's probably all I could get at the time. So that's that one. It stinks. I don't know why it smells so bad. Might have to give it a wash. Maybe. I wrote myself a note this time because I forgot to tell you a few things last time. Some more recent finishes. So once I finally did track down some samplers and, you know, reproduction samplers, but also modern new designs of samplers. One that I've done, I really enjoy stitching Barbara Anna designs. I think she's got a really fabulous style, really fun. And last year it was my husband's and mine 20th wedding anniversary, so I thought I'd like to stitch something for us to put on the wall. So I decided to do, what's it called? Love Never Fails. And this is just a printout. I downloaded this particular file from Creative Poppy. And I thought, yep, that definitely looks like me. And that definitely looks like my husband, Don. Don't you reckon? Anyway, that was a really, really fun stitch. I did change a few things. Her frock, her dress, and his coat, and a few other features on her shoes and the vases and things, or the urns, are stitched in 310 black. And I didn't really want it to be black, so I think I subbed it out for 3779 or one of those really dark colours. Really, really dark brown. I can't remember the number. So I stitched that. And of course, like most things I've stitched, I haven't had it framed, but this is the stitch. So I stitched this one on a 36 count legacy linen by Picture This Plus. I hope you can see it. Using pretty much all of the called for colours, but I think the called for linen was called Dirty from Zweigart, and I didn't have that. Obviously, I used the legacy. So some of the colours didn't show up very well, like the skin colour. So I did change that to something a little bit darker, and then I ended up doing a back stitch around it just so that you could see the features a little bit better. Same with Don. I did him around his face in back stitch. He's very cute. And so I put our initials N and D for Nick and Don down the bottom. And I ended up putting 1993 on here, which is the year that Don and I started going out together, as we call it here. Not dating. We don't really call it dating. It's going out together. Far more Aussie. Anyway, so then after I did that one, I thought, yeah, it would be nice to have a sampler that does commemorate our marriage. So I decided to stitch this one from Brenda Gervais, which you can see through the plastic, Forever and Ever. A really, really pretty sampler. It's got a red house and a nice bird. And it says, in my heart, forever and ever. And then I decided to put the date, the year actually that we got married, which was 2000. And I have had this one framed, yay. So that's it. And I did stitch it on a 40 count sheep straw from R&R. You can see the glare. Sorry about that. It's annoying, isn't it? It's quite late in the day again. I'm filming this after work on Friday afternoon. Anyway, so that's that. And again, I put our initials, so that's my NB with my maiden name, initial, and Don, and Ono, our surname. And that was a really fun stitch. That was the first time I did Smyrna crosses, which are pretty easy, really fun to do. So it's that one. Another recent finish that I've had is Jane Marshall 1857, this little one, which is now available as a little gem on the Hands Across the Sea website. When I downloaded this particular chart, it was a fundraiser for the New South Wales Rural Fire Service, and it was actually really quite relevant to me and of course many other Australians at that time when we had the really major bushfires back at the end of 2019 and the beginning of 2020. My family and I actually got evacuated from our home. The fires got reasonably close to our place. We had a fire to the north that was about 500 metres away, possibly a little bit less, so we had a helicopter flying over the house trying to put the fire out. It had buckets of water. So it was a pretty scary time. It was quite surreal, really. It had a really strange... The atmosphere was really strange when those fires were on. The sky was just red, and all around was red. The smell of... There was just such a lot of smoke around, and we had burning leaves just blow in and just land on the house and in the pool, swimming pool, and all over the lawn. So it was a real risk. So we got evacuated. So when Hands Across the Sea released this chart and they were specifically raising money for the Rural Fire Service, I thought, yep, I'll certainly buy that one. So I also, in talking about this particular chart, and I wanted to thank everybody out there in the cross stitch community that did donate. They did buy this particular chart, but I know there were a lot of designers and a lot of shops that put out specific items in an effort to raise money for not only the Rural Fire Service, who is like our fire brigade, our volunteer fire brigade, but also for wildlife rescue organisations and wildlife carers. That's also very close to my heart, given that you know, professionally I'm a wildlife ecologist. So there were so many millions of animals that were killed by those fires. So I'm very grateful to everybody out there in the Flosstube world, or more broadly than that, the cross-stitch world, who contributed to those relief efforts. So thank you. Sincerely thank you, because it meant a lot. So without further ado, here's my small... Jane is only quite small. The one I stitched is quite small. This is her. I stitched this on a 40 count summer khaki from Zweigart, and I just used DMC for this one, good old DMC. And I think I did change where I use some of the colours. I know that the actual name of Jane Marshall and her age and whatnot, they were charted in the lighter green, which just didn't show up. I did stitch it in the lighter green and it didn't show up, so I decided to use the mid green. So she's a cutie, and as you can see, I have had it framed in that cute little frame with a little red border. So she's very cute. Very cute. Alright, that one. other fully finished objects that are not necessarily framed, but they are finished. This was a really fun one. P-Roy the slug, and it's got cat hair on it. Surprise, surprise. Everything in my house has cat hair on it. I've got 2 cats. One's big and fat and white, and his white hair gets on everything. But this is P-Roy. He's a slug. He is a chart from Stacey Nash, and I stitched him a couple of months ago. It was a pretty quick stitch, and I fully finished him myself. He's not perfect, but I think he's pretty alright. I stuffed him with walnut shells, really tightly with walnut shells, as tightly as I could get him. So he just sits on my shelf and makes me smile when I see him. Another little one that I have finished is Bovinia, the little cute cow. This is a Plum Street sampler. Love a little cow. Love her her little pink ears and her little pink udder. And this chart actually had a number of over 1 crows on it. And I stitched this again on a 40 count. I'm not sure what linen it is, just a random linen that I had, just a scrap of. And I did stitch one of the crows, and I unpicked it. Bugger that. I wasn't going to stitch crows. So I unpicked that crow and I didn't put them in. But I actually like it without the crows. I don't know about anywhere else in the world. But crows can be pretty horrible birds. So I didn't mind removing them. They sort of gave it, they darkened it up a little bit too much. You know, just their presence was a little bit ominous or something. So I think it just made it a little bit cuter or something. At least in my mind. I know a lot of people love crows. They're very intelligent birds as well. They're a little bit mean. They can be mean. Anyway, so that's Bovinia by Plum Street. And I fully finished that on Tina the Bonina. A little bit of lace that I found somewhere. And a bit of a scrap of fabric from my quilting stash. And that's her. Okay, whips. I went back to work last week. I had 6 weeks holidays over summer with my kids. They actually had 8 weeks of school holidays, which was, by the end of it, I was really ready for them to go back to school. I love my kids, but boy oh boy, whew. Anyway, so they're back at school now and I'm back at work. So it means that my stitching time has dropped dramatically. So, but I still have managed to work on a couple of whips. And I don't have a formal whip rotation, and I don't do things like whip go or anything like that. I just wait and see what calls to me. And just recently, this one's been calling to me. Miss Lucy Calcutt in 1826. This is the second of Lucy's samplers that she stitched. And this was reproduced by Just Stitching Along. And I started this one is actually my oldest whip, and I started this last February. So she's not quite a year old yet, but she started calling to me. So I've pulled her out and I started doing some work on it. And I've been really enjoying it. She's a big one. She's a big girl. This is it. Oh, it's quite hard. I can't fit her all in because she is so big. But she has got a big bopper red house, which is beautiful. But a really weird, look at that weird door. The weird door and the weird steps. That was just weird. That's how it's charted. So if it was good enough for Lucy, it's good enough for me. But it's just a bit weird. Looks like it's unfinished. And I've just, last night after work, I worked on the border a bit and I'm almost together. So I don't think it'll matter too much if I'm a stitch or two off, but I don't think I am. I think I'm quite didn't make any mistakes there, which is a miracle. And when I first stitched it, I stitched that little basket. It's in white, blanc, I sort of thought, I don't know if I like that, but I think it's growing on me. And there's another cool little bird on top of that flower basket. That's not finished. Well, none of it's finished, obviously. I seem to skip around a fair bit when I do some of these things. And the big flower basket in the middle. That's pretty cool. But that house is awesome. I haven't filled in the windows just yet. I've got lots to go on her. But it's fun. And I'm up to there with that border. So that's Lucy, and I'm stitching this one on a 36 count antique white linen from Zweigart, and I'm just using the good old DMCs. I've got them in a little box here, in my little bobbinator box. I can't be bothered to put them all on floss rings, so I just leave them all bobbinated. I think I've got a Joyous Day in here to show you as well. That's not far. I mean, it was pretty close to being finished last time I filmed, but it's even closer now because I have been working on it. So everybody knows what this one looks like, but that's it. It's a Blackbird Designs chart. Pretty colours, red pear, still my current favourite. And this is it. It's quite small because I stitched it on a 40 count Legacy linen. Legacy by Picture This Plus rather than an Access Commodities Legacy linen. So all that's left to do is the satin stitch along the top, and I think there's a border at the top in satin stitch, one halfway down or 3/4 of the way down and one down the bottom, and the over one stitching. So I put in the little eyelet stitch in here and here, which are pretty good. I like doing eyelet stitches. All these little doodads are a bit of a pain in the bum. All these little fandangled things that I always over one, and the doodads I leave to the last because they're the bits I least enjoy. I probably should do them first, shouldn't I? Get it out of the way. Into there. Such pretty colours. Anyway, so that's our Joyous Day. What else have I got on my list? So they're my two main whips that I've been working on. I wanted to show you a couple of newish starts that I've made. I started them a little bit after Christmas. The hubster, Don, gave me a couple of charts, cross-stitch charts for Christmas. I chose one of them and he chose the other. So the one he chose, which I was a bit scared about initially because you never know what he's going to choose, but he did well. He chose a GG chart, and this is ATS 1871 sampler from Saxony, which is really quite fantastic on a number of levels. It's a whopper, I think. I was looking at the chart and I got quite daunted because I think it's 670 stitches long, so it's a big one. I'm up for the challenge. It's quite narrow. So what this, I don't know if you guys have all seen this one, but this is the actual sampler on this side. So it's a band sampler at the bottom, and then it has a number of scenes up here, and these 5 scenes here are actually these 5 scenes here. Here, actually, 4 scenes. These ones in here. So this is like a blown up version of those 4 scenes there. But I will do the whole lot. But I think what I might do is, rather than stitching this bird over on the right hand side, I'll do it on, so I'll move that bird into the center, because I believe this is an incomplete sampler. So that's that one. The other reason I quite like this one, it's a German sampler, and I have a lot of German heritage in my family, on the maternal side of my family. So I thought that was pretty cool. I'm quite a bit of a history nerd too. I love things like medieval history and Tudor history and Stuart history, the monarchy in the UK, which is, I really don't know where that's come from, but you know, it's what I'm into. I love reading books about it, watching docos about it. Anyway, so sampler from Saxony. This is my start. Tiny start, but that's the very bottom. As I said last time, I always start, or generally tend to start on the bottom and work my way up. So that's as wide as this one's going to be. And this is the linen. It's like a very narrow bed sheet. It's the full width of the fabric. So it's really big. Really big. Anyway. So that's going to take me a while to do that one, but fun. And this is a 40 count. I did order a platinum linen, but I don't think this is a piece of platinum. It seems a lot darker than some of the other platinums that I have in my possession. I don't know what it is. I don't have anything like it, but that's cool. I think it'll be pretty good. I think the colours will show on that one, and it's stitched in the over-dyed cottons, Gentle Arts, I think, primarily. Oh, I can show you the thread colours. This is not all of them. It does call for a ton of colours, but these are the colours on the fabric, so I think that goes quite well. It's got quite a few very pale colours in it, but I think because this linen is a little bit darker than the platinum, I think that's actually going to be a good thing. I think it might show up a little bit better. Wait and see. So that's that one. And lastly, I'll show you the other chart. This is the one that Don got me for Christmas, but I chose it because it's something that it's a chart that I've looked at for a while and thought, yep, I've got to do that one. So it's Ragamuffin number 2 from Shakespeare's Peddler. And that's that one. And he actually kitted this up. Well, he kitted it up, haha. I kitted it up. I ordered all the stuff. When it arrived, I said to him, here you go, wrap this. This will be my Christmas present, please. He said, okay. So I did, of course, because I had his credit card, I ordered all the silk. So it's a mixture of Alvera Soie d'Alger, and it's got some Gloriana and some NPIs. So really, really beautiful. This is I've stitched with some Silks For You before, which are very nice, but I do have to say, oh, and I've also stitched with Gloriana, which I love. The Alvera Soie is just very special to stitch with. It is just beautiful, and there are the colours. But I did end up switching out the very palest colour. The chart calls for Gloriana in the colour Vanilla, and when I stitched with the Vanilla, you couldn't see it. It was exactly the same colour as the fabric, and this one is platinum. But so I ended up ordering some Fresh Snow Gloriana, and I think it's going to show up okay. Now, when you look at the actual picture of this one, it's got a lot of white, and it's intended to be quite pale. So ghost, is that what Carol calls it? Ghost stitching, something like that. So I think it's intended to be a bit like that. So I think, what do you think? Let me know what your thoughts are. I think you can see they're like little snowflake flowers in here. So I think that will be okay. And I'll just show you what I've done. I've just got this much done. So I've just got the bottom border, the border up to the left, and I believe, if my memory serves me correct, that's the top. That's the top. So the top border comes across here. And that's that. I think that it calls for a 32 count. Of course, I'm doing it on a 40. I just prefer to stitch on a 40, 46. So that's that one. It's really beautiful. Pretty pretty. Okay. So I believe that's it for today. There was only one other thing that I was going to mention, and that is something that my family and I have been watching on YouTube, other than Flosstube. My boys don't really like watching Flosstube, I've got to say. But they do enjoy watching the British Museum's YouTube channel. And it's rubbing off from me, I think, because I'm a bit of a history nerd. They have on their Flosstube channel, on their YouTube channel, they have what's called Curators Corners. And so the various curators from the British Museum have a little segment where they talk about a particular item that's in their exhibitions or particular exhibitions. There's one at the moment that they're talking about that I've been watching on a Viking ship that they discovered, a really big old Viking ship. And inside it was a burial, so it's just interesting sort of stuff. So I thought I'd just mention that, and just in case anyone else out there wants to have a watch. Okay, well, oh, I nearly forgot. Haul. I haven't bought any charts, but I have got some pretty cool haul. Mainly for finishing and just other fun things. One of the things that I bought when I ordered the fresh Snow Gloriana silk, the little shop that I bought it from, it's an online shop, they had this little book, and it's called Patterns of Childhood, and it's the publication that was made for an exhibition of cross-stitch or embroidery samplers in Glasgow Museums in Scotland. And I love Scottish samplers. So when I saw this, I thought, yep, I'm going to have that, please. So it arrived, and yep, it's as I thought. It's just some of the things in there. The samplers are stunning. So there's this one. Look at the little soldier and his family and the castle. So that's pretty cool. That's a sampler from 1802. And then there's some band samplers in here from the 1700s. The swans. So just a really cool small book. So it's pretty simple, this cool one. This one wasn't finished, but you can see the outline of the lady and the bird and the other flowers and the cool little snail. So that's pretty cool. So that was a really fun little book that I bought. Bedtime reading. But it'd be great if some of these charts were actually published. Reproduction charts. I also got some antique spools. I got 3 of these in a little set. I just ordered these off a seller from Etsy. So I would like to do a red sampler on some banding. I don't know if anybody watches Amy from Gable Stitcher. She's great. I really enjoy everything that Amy stitches and her Flosstube videos. Last year she participated in a stitch along for a red band sampler, the I Stitch red band sampler, and it's just stunning. She's almost finished it, and I thought, yep, that would be great. And then to do that, and then I could wrap it around one of these little spools. but they're cool anyway, just to put on a shelf, a little display of those. So that was fun. And that seller also was selling some of these very cute little pans, cake pans. They're like a little tart pan. And I thought they might be quite good for finishing little Christmas ornaments. You could put a little hole through some of the tin and hang something with a little motif in the middle, or a little Santa or something. So there was a little set of 4 of those little vintagey things. I got those as well. And then I came across a real treasure on Etsy. Not buying charts, but I'm buying all the other treasures. So this is a little flip top lid, and inside it, I've taken it all out because I thought it would be a little bit noisy showing you. So this was somebody's old sewing tin or button tin. So I bought this off Etsy. Isn't that just the cutest little tin? All those cute little flowers and the little thing on the top. And in it was all sorts of treasures. So I've got this little box here. I don't know how old they are. Probably not terribly old, but awfully fun. So it's got some little, and these are just little wooden spools of thread. So it's got a couple of those, and this little cute little one, and then a stack of these little snap fasteners. They're like on a little postage stamp, which are really cute. So there's a ton of those, all different colours. There's some black ones. Prim stud, this one's called. Made in Germany. So there's that. Lots of them. But they must have come on a little card with a perforated divider or something. There's a ton of those. And then there's, look at this one. You can hang this on your Christmas tree. 100% wool. Put on that cute little card. The little pink wool. I assume it's for mending garments and things. And it's got a little tie. And more of those little woolly bobbins. All different colours. All different thicknesses of wools. This one's quite a thick one. This one's a fine one. Stock wool. And then it had this imported needle assortment, Broadway. And inside it's still got all of the little needles in these little packets. So they're all still in there, which is really fun. And then this one. I don't think I'll use those ones, they're a little bit rusty. But how fun's that? I thought that was so fun. And it's showing the lady sitting on in her stitchy spot, doing some stitching. Probably mending her husband's socks. And on we go. So there's these, like some little, what are they, hooks and eyes. More snaps. More little cute bits of paper wrapped in twine, in thread. And then it's got some little bits of lace, which I could use for finishing various things. Cute. And another one. This little one. More treasure and stacks of buttons. And these ones, it's hard to see. That one. It's hard to see with the light, but I think these are milk glass buttons. Can you see? Can you sort of see the pattern on that? It's got. So there's quite a few of those. When you tap them together, they definitely sound like glass. Could be wrong, don't know. Flower power buttons. So there's some things in here presumably from the 70s. Look at these ones. These are like got a crocheted cover or something on them. They look like boobies. Thread. Loads of buttons. Some of these cool clear plastic ones. Thimble. I thought this was such a find. Hope it's not too noisy. Some more spools. Oh, and then there were these little pieces of paper rolled up, and on it is an alphabet for cross stitch. How cool! And that's all in French. Written in French. I can't read French, so I don't know what it says. But that was fun. Fun. What else? More cool buttons. Stacks of buttons. Oh, and then this will be the last thing I show you. This is a packet of pins, and they're still all in there. Okay. Right, that's it. Done. I hope you've enjoyed what you see again. Let me know. I hope you have a great weekend. It's now, what time is it? It's 6 o'clock on Friday evening here in Australia. That means it's the weekend. Yay. A couple of days of just bumming around, loafing about. Hopefully getting lots of stitchy time in. I hope you get lots of stitchy time in this weekend. You stay safe and happy and well, and I'll see you next time. Bye.